All right, the ACC tournament for the men's side is in full effect, and we have now are on our way to the semifinals. We've got some great games to go over. Let's talk about the heart of some of these teams that were trying to play spoiler. Boston College, man, fought to the very end. All the games have been pretty interesting. No flat. Syracuse without Buddy Boeheim. Did Duke really have a game of runs? Literally, let's talk about it.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. I'm your host, Candace Cooper. Thank you so much for joining. Drizzy Drake, Locked On Seminoles host, is in the building. You know how we do on Freestyle Friday. We are up bright and early to make sure we get all of the games from the quarterfinals matchups in. And so we're talking to you about not only those, but semifinals. Drizzy Drake, how we feeling?
We're feeling good. We're feeling good. It is Friday. I'm here for the weekend, and we got some good basketball coming up today, and we had a lot of good basketball earlier in the week.
100%. It's been a good tournament so far, especially for those that wanted to play spoiler, who potentially have ruined hopes for others trying to dance in March. So I think that it's pretty on brand for what this season has been. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, like it's been funny because I remember like I wore the Wake Forest hoodie last show because actually I thought Wake Forest, I think at plus $800 to win the conference tournament was a very great value. I thought that was kind of one of my picks, and then they get beat up by Boston College.
You know?
Like, bro, the one time we haven't given them credit all year, right? At all.
Yeah.
Like we like Alonda's one, we like Steve Forswell. There's always something like they felt hella fraudulent, but no, I didn't listen to either of us the past few, month and a half. I put my money on them, and now not only I lost my money to you twice, I now Wake Forest. I'm about to send them a bill too for that bet because it sucks to see because like that was the second best team in the conference, and now you're not even going your second weekend in the entire conference tournament. That's sad.
Yeah, well, they always say follow your first mind. And so we knew what it was. We just decided maybe they're showing us something different. And they, in fact, did not. But let's start with the first game here. Duke and Syracuse. Duke winning 88-79. The score looks a bit wide, but it was close pretty much the entire game. The Blue Devils played it close. Syracuse took many leads, but then ultimately it was Duke who ended up with the win. You hear in the post conference that Coach K said that some of the players had the runs. Okay, they have food poisoning, but we all know what that means. They've been throwing up, but whenever there's throw up and food poisoning, there's a little bit something else. However, felt like an excuse. Without Buddy Boeheim, you saw Jimmy Boeheim come in and rain buckets. He wanted to play with his brother one more time. You knew that.
I was just about to say that tweet you said like, yo, Jimmy wants to keep riding. I was like, I think this is what Jimmy played at the University of Rochester before. He's a grad student now, actually at Syracuse, and then Buddy Boeheim was suspended for this game after his actions in the Florida State game. So it's like, I mean, it's an excuse. Like I understand like with a player when they have food poisoning. I've played through something like that. It's not a good time, but then it doesn't excuse like I guess Paulo Banchero having 10 points, and then out of nowhere, like I'm working, and then I see a text message like like. Are you watching this Duke game? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I thought Duke was going to blow them out. And then I'm like, oh, we got a game here. Yeah. This is actually going through right now. But then, Wendell Moore, like we talked about him a lot where like, why taking the last shot? Wendell Moore is the reason why they won this game. He almost had 30 points.
Facts.
I mean, the kid was out of his mind. I think it was 4 of 10 from 3, like from 4 of 6, inside the paint too. So like that to me, he played a hell of a game and kept them in it to probably not be upset by Syracuse because for some reason, Syracuse, like, they'll play like average the entire year, but then when March hits, it just turns on for them. With Jim Boeheim and the boys.
Absolutely. They needed a couple more games where they could have a postseason, and we know it's pretty much a wrap for them, and it sucks that Buddy had to go out like that, but at the end of the day, you can't swing on people, so that is what it is. There's all that back and forth about that we talked about on yesterday's show. If you have not had a chance to listen to it, strongly encourage you do so. We had Tyler Aki of Locked On Syracuse there. Buddy Boeheim ends his career, but more importantly, I think from a Duke standpoint, I expected more, and I've been going hard for them. I said they were going to be on a tear. They're going to come in and rip through anybody in their way coming off that Saturday loss. They're going to be on a vengeance, but they're playing with tight tails. Like they cannot loosen up. I don't know what it is, but as much junk as I talk about Carolina being soft this season, I'm starting to feel like Duke is right there.
I was about to ask, like, maybe it's starting to sink in that, like, in the beginning of the year, it's like, okay, this is Coach K's last year. Let's have a good time. Let's do the best for him. But now it's like, oh, this is Coach K's last year. We're almost to the end. and
Yeah.
they're just trying to find every single possible way not to this up at all, period. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we joked about it at halftime where basically, you got Jay Will, JJ Redick to come like, "Hey, boys, y'all not messing this up for Coach K. Like,
Yeah.
this is our guys, the reason why we're here for all this stuff here." So it's like, maybe they're just starting to be like, the pressures get into them, man. You look at the minutes usage for, like, Paulo Banchero, 35 minutes, Wendell Moore, 39 minutes, Trevor Keels, 36 minutes. So it's like, it's a lot, man, for these kids.
Yeah,
So
and
it's like
I
it's
hate that for them because at the end of the day, like, yes, Jay Williams was a legend at Duke, and yeah, JJ Redick and Christian Laettner, all those guys were there, but they never had to play for Coach K in his very last game after 40 years of coaching, right?
100%.
So that's a different kind of pressure. I don't care who you are, how great you were in college, knowing what's on the line and trying to leave this man with the best, outing, parting ways as possible. God, that's a lot of pressure. I mean, people put too much pressure on Duke already, but don't let Coach K get embarrassed after he was on his retirement party. And we talked about that. I've talked with so many friends, especially here locally in the Triangle. I feel like he played that wrong. He should have never had all of that pomp and circumstance during Saturday. He should have done it on Friday, had a nice ceremony, brought all the players back, take all the pictures you want, have all the time you to do that. And then Saturday should just have been about the game. They screwed that up. And because you had that post thing afterwards, it was just too much.
Didn't he say at the beginning he didn't want this entire, runway tour and everything else throughout the entire year, and then he does that? Like, listen, the man has earned the right to actually celebrate how his contribution
Sure.
to basketball is basketball, right? But when you do that against your most hated rival, one of the most heated rivalries in all of collegiate and professional sports, y'all don't think that Hubert Davis and the boys, like, felt some kinda way about that?
Come on.
I mean, I know you felt some kinda way seeing that. You're like, listen, uh, that's
Hate it
something that
had to
you
be
just don't
him.
do. No, 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 you love it had to be him. I think you hate it
I
had
personally love that they spoiled it, but
yeah.
I feel like they set themselves up because they saw the first outing and well, let's start one. They always had that plan to do that on that Saturday. Now, why they chose to
Mhm.
do that again? Crazy. Number two, the way you said you didn't set up your players to be successful, I think in terms of game preparation, you go back and regret it. You should have never had all of that going on. But even now, again, carrying that into the Syracuse game, I thought after getting embarrassed at Cameron the last game, they would have had tunnel vision. They were going to go full throttle, no brakes, all gas, no brakes. That was not the case. And now I feel like having to go against Miami here today, it might be a closer game than people think.
I mean, Miami beat them already, didn't they?
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And Larinaga not playing, it's gonna be like Bayheim light, okay? He literally looks like him. Like you blink
He
twice and he's
does
like,
look like
dude.
him, actually. That's so accurate.
He's a Bayheim light. So like I really truly feel like it could go down to where Duke is eliminated in the semifinal matchup. But that's where we're at. Now, quickly, Miami and Boston College. Miami pulling out the win 71-69 at the final play of the game. Yeah, you hate it for Boston College, who had been playing really well, but positive vibes. I mean, Earl Grant's definitely got you invested halfway thinking about, all right, Boston College next season might do a little something.
I think they might.
Yeah.
I mean, we all assumed that they would win, like, what, 2 games, 3 games this year? Kinda like that infamous video you saw a few years ago where the player was asking, "What was your best, memories of playing here?" Going out to eat together, which was kind of both sad and also like, damn, like, it's how close he was with the teammates, but, I mean, they played a really good game. Brevin Galloway, Zachary, and Langford Jr. actually probably led the way with scoring too as well, but then this Miami team, like we've said all year, they're sneaky good, man. Like, I love Cameron I mean, I've said enough love for Cameron McGusty and Isaiah Wong. Wardenberg too, almost like double digits, double figures too, with double there. So to me,
Mhm.
this is a Miami team that Larinaga, he got them boys playing now because he was probably
Yeah.
coaching for his job at the beginning of the year, right?
100%.
100%. Like because they were probably there's a lot of stuff going on with Miami Athletics right now, but like that was one thing that where they were not living up to their standard that he had met a few years ago. But now, like, this is a team that they could win out this entire thing. And
Yeah.
if they win out this entire thing, they might get a favorable seed, and that's a team to watch out for in the tournament. And I hate having the prospect of me covering a good Miami basketball team with a deep run in the March Madness.
Yeah, what's even worse for you is because your team's not even going to be there, Florida State,
We
bruh.
ain't discussing this, man. I'm just gonna cut you right there.
We're not having this conversation today. We are not going to talk about it. We're just going to let the season be what it was. We're just going to move on. Listen, I totally get it, but we have more games to cover here. It won't be Florida State, but I want to remind you guys that this is a season where it's time to always make sure your health is in order. March is certainly rolling on, and you want to be able to watch these games and feel good about what you're eating. Strongly encourage you to hit up Built Bar. All Built Bars are 100% covered in real chocolate, even their puffs, that marshmallowy protein infused marshmallow. If you go to build.com and scroll right down to the macros chart, you'll be blown away. High protein, low calorie, high fiber, and low carbs. 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and 4 net carbs. Look, you are set up for success if you're trying to get right during this March Madness. Mint brownie, coconut, almond, all these delicious flavors. Every new month, there could be a new treat for you. So you got to go to built.com. Use promo code LOCK15 and you'll get 15% off your order. Again, using promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at built.com. So rocking and rolling here with, I almost said JJ Jackson, Drizzy Drake, Locked on Seminoles podcast, because we were talking about Duke and had JJ on the brain. Make sure you hit up Locked on Blue Devils podcast. I'm sure he has a lot to talk about as we are rolling through these ACC tournament championship matchups. But let's talk about Virginia Tech and Notre Dame. Notre Dame being the number 2 seed and ultimately showing why they have been fraudulent all season. 87-80 victory for the Hokies. I knew that Virginia Tech was decent. You knew that they had the senior leadership to be great. But Storm Murphy, Aluma, Mutts, I mean, those guys were balling yesterday.
Yeah, they were really damn good. And this is a Notre Dame team that I thought like they kind of had won me around a little bit, but like goes to show you that now like it's conference play doesn't matter. I mean, it's also a Notre Dame team that like it feels like they probably would still be in the tournament even with this kind of loss, right? Like this is a team like with a decent enough resume, enough wins in conference play too. And then they have, 2 star players in Lazuski and Ryan too, who still performed really, really well yesterday. But then Virginia Tech, I mean, they made almost everything when they're from the field. I think they were 24 of 35, so they were basically over 60-something percent. So that's a team that just shooters shoot, and they made all their buckets with that. That's something you kind of need, especially in conference play against a team that how you were picked to lose to, but then you pull it out this upset. And I think today they don't play Miami. I think Miami plays Duke today.
They play North Carolina.
They play North Carolina today. That's right. So to me, that's going to be an interesting game, but this is definitely a big win for Virginia Tech for their March Madness hopes.
100%. And I think they're on the bubble of being some of the last 4 in. So we'll certainly keep our tabs on that. But winning certainly helps the matters. Now, North Carolina picked up a very easy win over Virginia. Don't just sit here long on this one. But to me, Carolina might be peaking at the right time. They're starting to feel a groove. They're still messing up mightily on that backcourt play. But ultimately, I'm like, you're doing enough to where those mistakes are hidden. And they're a little less than they usually are.
That's why I love college basketball and baseball, because there's so much similar to me, because there's something that about what you just said, getting hot at the right time. Whenever there's a playoff push in baseball, you can just see a team that was probably, hiding all their flaws, but then they start clicking. The pitching staff is doing well, hitting is doing well, clutch hitting, at bats, running scores position, all that stuff. And then basketball too, where if you get hot towards the the end of February, the middle of March, and then you just carry that over to the tournament, y'all can make some noise. And then, North Carolina came off that big Duke win.
Yeah.
And that's something that definitely they loved doing that with everybody in attendance, with all the pomp and circumstances that were occurring at Duke. So to me, that's something it's a team to watch out for. I mean, they play Virginia Tech, who I don't think they'll have another shooting performance like they just did, because that was very not out of character, but it's not sustainable. So to me, North Carolina, they beat up on a very overrated, very slow Virginia team, which is probably the perfect little appetizer before going into semifinals today.
Yeah, and I think that I was personally expecting Carolina to lose today. I would have been fine if they did lose today, because I'm thinking like, you don't got to do nothing else for me as a grad. I'm just proud that you guys, ruined Coach K's party. But I love to see the fact that you're not getting hung up on that win, and you're not saying that is your quote unquote national championship of the season. You're saying we want more. We want to finish out the year with having a good tournament run, both for conference and for NCAA. So, shout out to them for getting it done. Virginia, on the other hand, couldn't shoot to save their life. 13 points in the first half. It's literally crazy. Clark and company just couldn't get it done. But hopefully, fingers crossed, I think they'll have a really good NIT run.
Shouts out NIT. We'll see you there too. We'll get some t-shirts out.
That's exactly what's going to go down. So as we mentioned, Miami, Duke, Virginia Tech, North Carolina. Let's start Miami, Duke. This game, Duke has shown itself to be a little fraudulent. Miami, though, same way, could be a really exciting matchup. I personally am going to side with Miami only because I think there's more fire there. There's more want to. There's more house money where you're like, hey, nobody expects us to win. Everyone assumes Duke is just this big bad, wolf, but they're showing themselves to be a little bit of some puppies. So I don't know.
This is where it gets hard because I do think Miami, they've honestly played the better basketball all year if you really, really watch it deep in there. I mean,
Yeah.
aside from Paulo Banchero, who first I haven't heard much like discussions about him too. It's at the point now where it's like,
It's
I mean,
very low radar. Very low radar.
yeah, like he's no longer the top kid. I mean, we knew that was going to be Jabari Smith at Auburn. That kid is literally just a monster on the court. But to
Yeah.
me, it's interesting. But then when the one problem I have with Miami is that every game this year, I've noticed whenever they have a chance to finally break into being ranked, whenever the
Hmm.
moment is like it's not big, but it's like big enough to kind of creep into your mind,
Hmm.
they just don't perform at all well. And to
Yeah.
me, this is probably evident of a game that it's exactly that. And to me, this is something that how bad do you think Coach K wants to do a rematch right now with UNC in the conference
Oh
tournament title
boy.
game? Like, and
So bad.
that's lingering back at the players' minds too. So to me, I think Miami, if we're being honest here, is the better team overall
Hmm.
from the entire season. But I have Duke playing in a really, really like close game and actually winning this out today.
Yeah. Okay. I feel you 100%. The only thing is with this whole, we have, food poisoning going on. I want them to either play well and they not use that as excuse. But if they lose, I don't want them to say that that was the reason. Like, just give Miami the credit. Don't say, well, we're battling XYZ. Because I think that was more of a, we know we might not win the whole shebang. So if we don't win the whole shebang, I just need you to know we're down bad because you couldn't even give Syracuse credit. Like, that's annoying to me.
No, I know, and like freaking Jimmy Boeheim played the game of his life too, like with his
Game
brother on
of
the
his
sideline too.
life,
That was awesome, man. I'm like, damn, if my little brother did it for me, I was like, oh man, like
right?
that's literally what it reminded me of. Like, oh, Evis, I needed you, love you, shout out to you. But like, yeah, it to me that it is a built-in excuse, and that's something that one of my problems with Coach K has always been like not shaking the hands of people, and the handshake line always like giving a teaching moment to kids, when they beat them, or like yelling at a kid for I guess to a little layup at the end of a game. That's always been my problem with Coach K.
Yeah.
But to me, the food poisoning, I mean, I'm not gonna say the kid's like guy's lying. I don't think he is, but that's just something that it sucks. And hopefully, the kids are healthy, for the game today. Hopefully they can deal with it, but we'll see, what comes up for game time. But
And
don't use an
look,
excuse.
yeah, God don't like ugly, but Carewell, maybe you should shake some hands and not be such a poor sport because you the first one with the food poisoning. And I'm not saying, but I'm saying, right? You could read between all those lines, but I didn't know who Coach Carewell was. I knew who he was as a person and I knew his face. I've seen him on the bench, but I never knew his name until after he had the little scuffle with Coach Davis. And all I'm saying is it ain't that deep. Like, grown men here. So as if you're talking about leadership and being leaders of men and blah blah blah, like you got to do what you're supposed to do. Pretty plain and simple.
Leave in the
And
food.
yet, okay, talk about it. But we also have Virginia Tech and North Carolina. I want to talk about that matchup here. But first, if you are going to get in some betting action for these semifinal games, make sure that you hit up Bet Online. It's that time of year again as college basketball's tournament is finally upon us. From all the latest odds, contests, and player props, betonline.net is the number one source for all of your sporting needs and info. BetOnline remains the number one place where you can get sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sporting wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline is where the game starts. So when it comes to putting your money down, Virginia Tech or North Carolina, this is the third time they'll meet. Carolina's won both. It's hard to beat a team 3 times.
It is. It is. This is a toss up. This is a
Yeah.
hard game actually to pick, but like, if the line I think right now is like what pick 'em is like -1.5 to -2 maybe
-2.
-2, and I'm assuming North Carolina's the favorite.
Hmm.
I'm gonna get so much crap for this. I've been in such a cold streak. I'm gonna go with North Carolina then. I'm sorry, Candace. I need to get back on, back on the saddle, get the hot streak going up
Carolina's
in
gonna
March
lose
Madness
today
too.
just because you're doing this, right?
Oh, 100%. I'm sorry, but, like, I ain't sorry because I literally paid for y'all's freaking movie theater tickets and popcorn for my bet last week. But so to me, like, you're right, North Carolina to me, like, I go with the team that's getting hot at the right time, and then you look at the Virginia Tech, the entire advanced box score, that shooting was really good. I just don't think that level of shooting for them is sustainable, especially against a
Mm.
better team in North Carolina, and I mean, this might be the game where like Brady Manek and Armando Bacot are both just firing on all cylinders together for one. So that to me, this is a game that I'm going UNC in this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's Virginia Tech's third game in a row. They probably got to, make sure they re-up on them electrolytes. But I think Armando Bacot and Aluma matchup, that's the one that's been tricky this entire season. It'll be interesting if Aluma, gets in his head about it, because I think when they both go head to head, it's pretty good and pretty fair. But, Bacot's definitely been taking his lunch money. Who can defend Storm Murphy? That'll be clutch and key. And can, again, Caleb Love, it lives and dies by him at this point. So if he's playing halfway decent, I think they'll have a good run. So as long as they have tunnel vision that I wish Duke would have, I think we'll be good to go. So Duke and Miami play at 7, and then you have Virginia Tech and North Carolina. Play tournament. Can you hear me now?
Now, Gary, yeah,
Wonderful.
you stopped right at the Duke Carolina play, and then that's it.
I like saw the clock moving, and so I was like, I'm gonna keep talking just in case. But either here nor there, we like technical difficulties. That's just how we roll around here for this free stream. All right. So will we see Carolina and Duke in the finals? And will Duke get its revenge?
I think yes to the first. Uh, I think yes to the second too.
Mm,
And that's just something that more like I just think they have a really, really bad feeling. They have a really bad taste in their mouth from that last game, right?
yeah.
And that's something that I mean, I might be giving Duke a lot more credit than they deserve, and it's probably the case here. So to me, that's something just like it's when it's Coach K's last year, but then you end off like his last home game on that note after literally just basically the celebration. It was like almost on par with like whenever the Royals get married over in England. Like all the celebrities were coming into town. You got courtside seats. You got
Mhm.
all those sort of things, and like and you lose on that day. So this is something that's to me like if they both make it, which I think most likely is going to happen, Duke probably will try to have a similar game to the first one. Now I don't think it's ever going to happen ever again, but I think you're going to have a closer game. But you're going to probably see Duke squeak it out, and I think I'm going to say one last time. I need Paulo Banchero to actually show up for the entire game and not be under the radar.
Yeah.
But for me, that's probably what's going to be happening.
And I think that for me, I personally, I know this is everyone don't think I'm crazy. I'd rather them lose to Virginia Tech tonight, North Carolina, and not have to face Duke. So Duke fans don't have that, oh, well, you beat us in the retirement party, but we ultimately had the Duke title over you. Or I'd rather Miami win and we don't even have a rematch. I don't want a rematch, right? Because I don't want anybody talking about, so, we beat you when it counted. Nope. That retirement party counted. I don't care what nobody says. Like that retirement party ruining game was, bar none, always going to be the best regular season matchup in my eyes. So I think we should just avoid a rematch and not have to go back and forth because people get really gross. And I'm over all of that. So
It's
I'm
called
cool with not,
sports.
yeah, exactly. People
It's
are
called sports.
fanatics.
Yeah.
Fanatics means psycho. Like a fan is short for fanatic, and it means a psycho, in my opinion. So maybe we'll see it. But hell, go Miami. I know you can't say that, but that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, you can do that. You can just say it twice for the both of us because you're never going to hear those words come out of my mouth. But I mean, you're right. Yeah, fans are just. I mean, we always say we're fans
Crazy.
first, people second, podcasters third. But like, I'm a fan of all my teams. But like, yeah, like, folks, don't get ugly with this stuff, man. It's a
Ugh,
sport.
they
It's also a
can't
game,
help
and
themselves.
they can't. And this is also like, I know they're 18, 19. They're all basically young adults. They're still kids at the end of the day, especially in college basketball, where they're fresh out of high school. don't be tweeting at these kids. Don't be tweeting, about them either. Like, please, for the love of God, like,
Right.
get off the Twitter. Go touch some grass. Go outside for a little bit, man. Like, please.
Please touch some grass. Oh man, I can't wait for what should be a really good last three games, we should say. Semifinals and finals matchup will go down on Saturday, and we'll have, tournament winners and selection Sunday. We'll figure out where's everybody going, if people are going. A lot of people are still on the fence about whether or not 5 ACC teams will make it in the NCAA tournament. But either way, I hope some of our teams go to NIT if they're invited, but I hope 5 as well get into the NCAA tournament, so we'll have more to talk about.
I can agree.
Ooh.
I can agree with that. And I honestly hope that we go, because I think actually that FSU would benefit actually from a little more conference play, because they actually were on a 4-game winning streak coming in, but then they just got, the doors blown off them against Syracuse. So to me, it's like, hey,
Yeah.
you're still a very young team. Just get some more reps in before, the summer goes out and before fall camp starts. So please, like, I think that's something that we really, really need to do. And Coach Ham definitely needs a long break out of the season, because that now I feel bad for the man.
Yeah, listen, that's very fair and definitely understandable. So we will definitely keep track of all of that, but make sure you guys come back tomorrow not tomorrow, come back Monday. I'm sorry, today's Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Come back Monday and get the recap of the ACC men's tournament, and then you'll find out where the men and women will be playing NCAA tournaments. So if you have not yet, please download and subscribe to the podcast from anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you're really ready to talk about some football, strongly encourage you to listen to the Locked On NFL Draft podcast with Ryan Tracy and Eric Crocker. They bring the NFL draft to life every single day with insight and analysis on college football prospects and NFL front offices. It's free and available wherever you listen to podcasts. For Candace Cooper and Drizzy Drake, thank you so much for all of your time, and we hope you guys have a great and safe weekend.